What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, it is Monday and we are starting to get some Binance drama as people are getting a bit questionable about what is going on with this proof of reserves report that they released. People are questioning their solvency, and I do personally believe it would be a good idea to pull your money off of Binance at the current time being. So with that said, let's not waste any more time and let's get into today's video. So all of this started once this Mazars AUP was released. Now, what is an AUP? An AUP is like kind of an audit, but like a bias audit. Okay, an AUP is an agreed upon procedure. It's not an audit because in an audit, a company or an auditing company is allowed to enter into a company's database and start to look for all of the necessary figures and numbers in which they think necessary to deem them solvent or, assured or things of that nature. An AUP is a little different because it says, hey, you can't look at everything, but look at these specific things to make sure that they're okay. Which is like, okay, kind of cool because it does show at least there is something there. But the big question becomes, why couldn't we look at everything, right? Are you starting to pull money from all of these different places to make these one set of things look good? How is that going? And so that immediately raised some concerns, and people are saying this is not a real proof of reserves. We do not know if customer assets are backed one-to-one because things could be manipulated in the background to make the surface look pretty, but below that audit or out of scope of that audit, there are a lot of bad things going on. So people are getting questionable. Now, we also got a couple things within the audit that made people question Binance even more. The first one that I'm going to talk about, which I don't think is a big deal, which is why I want to talk about it, is the fact that it says this AUP engagement is not an assurance engagement. Accordingly, we do not express an opinion or an assurance conclusion. How do we perform additional procedures? Other matters might have come to our attention that would have been reported. Now, people are basically saying that Binance failed their audit report and even their auditing company couldn't vouch for them. That is not what that says, okay? What that says, at least in my opinion, is that this is a company who holds a lot of liability considering they do audits, and they have to include things like this to protect themselves, right? You have to understand this. If they are doing an AUP, they are looking at this set specific amount of things. They have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So obviously they are going to say to protect themselves that, hey, we were only able to look at these specific things. Obviously, our conclusion could have been different had we seen anything else, but we weren't able to see anything else. What this means is that if Binance does go fraud everybody and, go under, you can't blame Mazars because Mazars only looked at this one specific set of things. You have to understand this is legal jargon. This is legal terminology to protect themselves legally from any liability from this whole situation, as they should. Okay, so it's not something that I was like, oh, their auditing company can't vouch for them. No, they're just protecting themselves because they did an AUP. That's what they should do. Now, another thing that people were a little bit concerned about was the difference between the customer liability report balance and the asset balance report. The customer liability report balance was 597,000 Bitcoin, whereas the asset balance report was 582,000 Bitcoin. Well, obviously, if Binance was holding their reserves one-to-one in terms of customer assets to what they actually held, there shouldn't be a discrepancy. It should be 597,602 and 597,602. But that's not what it is. It's a little bit different. There's a 3% difference there. Now, because of that difference, people are like, hey, why is there a discrepancy? Well, Binance did actually go and say why there was a gap here. It says the 3% gap is due to Bitcoin loaned to customers through the margin or loan programs who may have used tokens out of the report scope. Remember this, out of the report scope as collateral. If we take these into account, in other words, if we didn't provide these Bitcoin loans, we would be 101% collateralized. This is the issue with an AUP. You're capable of saying, hey, only look at these things, don't look at those things. So if anything weird happens in these things, we can just blame it on those things, which no one ever looked at. So obviously, sure, I hope that this is true and that they would be 101% collateralized. But at the end of the day, whenever you're only looking at a certain scope of things, it is so easy to blame out of scope things for the in scope problems. And I think this is why so many people are getting concerned with what's happening right now. Now, there are some other concerns also. Jesse Powell's been all over this. He said, okay, I'll give you a hint. This is just the easy stuff that says this obviously is not a traditional proof of reserves, and I do agree. He says, and should immediately have had actual journalists digging. Why use collateral value? Why negative balances included? No wallet signing? Who issues BTCB and BBTC? And that was coming from this little report right here, which was basically all of the weird things about the report. Now, interestingly enough, we did get some answers from Binance. For example, we can see here, it is important to point out that negative balances are funds borrowed by customers who have opted to use margin and loan products. All loans are fully collateralized at over 100% and are subject to other risk management protocols such as auto liquidation if required. He also they also went ahead and said that the report references BTCB and BBTC interchangeably with native BTC, as they are fully collateralizing as native BTC on a 1-to-1 basis, meaning that they could swap their BBTC for their BTC with a 1-to-1 ratio almost easily. Okay, so they have answers for a lot of these things that Jesse's talking about, but at the end of the day, they don't really go too deep into the fact that they didn't release a normal proof of reserves report. Okay, they released an AUP, and it's just simply not the same thing. And so because of that, I think it is important that we take note of this. Okay, I'm just going to be honest here. I think Binance clearly has a lot of money, probably more money than any other exchange, but that does not exclude them from the fact that transparency within the space is key right now, and it's hurting people's opinions on them. And so I feel like sometimes whenever we see in this crypto space, these things are self-fulfilling prophecies where once 1 or 2, 3 people start saying, oh, they're insolvent, then the truth does come out. And I don't want to play a personal game of finding out if the truth is, that they're insolvent or not. I don't want to be involved whatsoever, just in case. And so personally, I do still have my BNB holding. I'm going to keep that. I'm not really going to sell that. It's not the biggest holding in my portfolio by any means. And so I'm going to keep that. But any money that I did have on Binance as a whole, or any stable coins that I did hold in BUSD, I did transfer over into another stable coin. I'm personally just use USDC. I don't think any of them are trustworthy, honestly, but I think that USDC is the most audited and the most transparent. So that's what I use. And I took all of my money off of Binance, which I didn't have much, and I just put it into my external wallet just to be safe. It's not that I believe that they're about to go under. I think they would be the hardest ones to go under, and I think they know how to play this game. And sad as it is, even if something sketchy was going on behind the scenes, I think they'll figure out a way to snake themselves out of it. And so with that said, I think they're probably going to be okay, but there's no way of really knowing, especially when they do sketchy stuff like they did a couple of days ago with that audit. And so with that said, I'm just going to be careful, guys. You shouldn't have your money on exchanges to begin with. I mean, if you have it on there, you're literally playing with your life savings and playing with fire. Don't do that. It's not worth it. Get an external wallet so things like this don't even bother you. Yeah, this would crash the market if they went under, but at the end of the day, it's not going to harm you that bad if you're making sure that your money is not stored there and gone forever. So with that said, that's going to be about it for today's update. I can continue to update you guys as this situation does play out. If that is something you're interested in, just let me know in the comment section below and like this video so more people see it. But with that said, that's it for today's video, and I will see you all next time. Peace.